Hey, PJ here. So today I want to talk about chemicals and hormones in the brain. So a little bit of brain chemistry. And the reason this is important is because brain chemistry is going to decide for you whether you're going to want to work out, whether you're going to want to eat right, if you're going to give in to cravings or not, and if we're going to use food as medicine to either make ourselves happier and more satisfied or medicate ourselves out of a certain mood or state we're in. Have you ever noticed that you do best, you have the most self-control when the sun is out, things are good, you're laughing, you're happy, you're looking forward to the weekend, or you're looking forward to a trip coming up. You got all the willpower in the world, you make great decisions, everything is grand, everything is easy. On the other hand, have you noticed that you crave certain things when you're in certain crummy moods, things you know you shouldn't be eating, but you just can't resist? This happens a lot of the time towards the end of the day, or when you're particularly stressed. Well, what you're doing is you're medicating your brain to get out of a certain state that you're in. What I want to show you today is how to do that without food as medicine, but to synthesize a new state. There's a really cool part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex, and this part of the brain can actually synthesize certain moods. It's a simulator. No other animal on the planet besides humans is able to simulate actions or emotions. We can also rehearse feelings or even synthesize feelings. So if you want to get into a certain state, you don't have to medicate your brain with food. You can actually synthesize that state. The cool thing about synthesizing a certain state is your subconscious brain doesn't know the difference between synthetic and real. So when you rehearse something or when you create something in imagination, the subconscious brain thinks that's just as real as being in that situation itself. Once we create this state, then it causes a cascade of hormones and chemicals that form an upward spiral. Once we put ourselves into this upward spiral, then everything becomes easier. The right food choices become easier, exercise is more desirable, everything starts to fall into place. When we're in a great state, we're secreting hormones that are helping us keep in that state, like oxytocin, vasopressin, and phenylethylamine. There's also a host of chemicals that are released, like endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, acetylcholine, and the most important, enkephalins, which reduce cravings, reduce pain, and reduce depression. Have you ever been in a crummy state and then someone comes along and makes you laugh? You don't really want them to make you laugh because sometimes you want to be in that crummy state. And when you're in that crummy state, you'd probably want to eat something that's bad for you. And then that person comes along and they make you laugh, they tickle, they tell a joke, or they look at you just in that way because they know you and they know what's going to make you laugh. Then you laugh, now your mood's changed. Now your preferences have even changed. That's what this hormone stuff and this chemical stuff is all about. And that's how powerful and that's how quick it is. When you're in a crummy state and you can't get out of that state, what's happening when you're in that place is you're secreting adrenocorticotropic hormone, which pumps out cortisol. Cortisol shuts down all these great hormones and chemicals that I just told you about. Cortisol also makes you store more body fat. Cortisol also breaks down your muscle mass, which is your metabolism. Sour moods release cortisol. Stress of the day, normal stress, even good stresses can release cortisol. And chronic stress is the real killer. That releases chronic levels of cortisol, which chronically break you down, chronically make you more unhappy, and chronically break the cycle and the amounts of those good hormones that were just mentioned. So what's the answer? Synthesize. To be in a good state usually means being happy. Happiness is actually our natural state. Most of us in the modern industrialized world, however, have spent most of our lives learning how to be unhappy because we've been programmed by the media and by our friends and by society that more money equals more stuff equals more happiness. I've lived in a lot of different places. One of them was a house on the water. The most happy times that I remember in that period of my life were people. It wasn't the house on the water, It wasn't the water access, it wasn't combing the beach, it wasn't taking the kayak. It was spending time with people that I remember the most as the happiest times. So when I look back and I think what things made me happy, I can actually recreate that in my mind, remember those moments with those people, and synthesize my own happiness and my own mood. Chances are when you look back on your past experiences and think of the things that made you the happiest, it was also because of people, not things. Every time you go back to some of those awesome memories, in your brain, it thinks you're actually there. Your subconscious mind thinks that's happening again, and it's going to put you right back in that state. Another really cool thing about this prefrontal cortex that God's blessed us with is the ability to rehearse behavior. Rehearsing behavior, especially in the morning, is a good idea before the stresses of the day have filled it up. The really cool thing about rehearsing good behavior is once that moment comes, it's easier to do that thing. So in the morning, you can rehearse the behavior you're going to have in the evening when you struggle the most with food because of a full PFC. And then when the time comes to actually do that behavior in real life, you're better equipped. These are just a few techniques. The sky's the limit when it comes to creative ways to change your state, free up space in your PFC, and create a wonderful upward spiral of positive emotions coming from all those chemicals and neurotransmitters and hormones, and create awesome, easy behavioral changes.